This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. So excited to be speaking with Jeff Hiller about Somebody Somewhere. How are you, Jeff?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Abe?
I'm great. I'm excited. This is not our first time talking for this show. I think I was looking back on our last solo opportunity, I think was right after season one. I know we spoke with Bridget another time, and it feels like for a show that only had three seasons, which, as you'll always say, shorter than the movie Avatar to catch up on one of them.
Oh
To get
no.
to talk so much about this still very underseen show is truly a delight.
Well, thank you. It is unfortunately, yes, very underseen.
But it's just such a heartwarming thing. And I also love the stakes on this show, especially like there's a big car crash episode in the season three, and another series might be like someone gets killed, someone loses all their, insurance, whatever, like that. And here it's just like slight existential crisis, concerned about it. And, life just sort of goes on after that.
I got a little weepy. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Nobody dies.
But it's also just been so nice to see the relationship being navigated, between Joel and Brad. I just think that that's been. There are moments I think where when you have these two best friends and someone comes in, it could feel like a real intrusion. I think there
Yeah.
is never a point that it feels like that. There's still a little bit, some bumps in the road, but what has it been like, after being platonically partnered on this show to then have this romantic partner sort of take over later on?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because you say that you said that it didn't sort of take over or feel weird that Tim was there. Tim, who plays my love interest, and I think the reason is that the show really addresses what it's like for someone new to come into your life, and not just like cousin Oliver or whatever, but but the fact that like when you do have this dynamic, this tight knit group, and someone new comes in. There's a lot of like adjustments that you have to make, and we don't really get to see that on TV that much. And I think that the writers did a really great job of showing how difficult that can be. And I think it is specifically around Bridget's character, Sam, who is so like she has a there was an episode in season two called "No New People." She does not want any new people to join, and so this season it really showed her growth. But then it also showed like, oh yeah, sometimes it's not just like at the end of Bridget Jones where you kiss and the snow falls and everything's fine. Like you have to really work at a relationship, and it can be difficult and hard to maintain.
But it's nice to see that things do seem to work out, which is nice that they both are invested in this and that,
Yeah.
we're headed towards a happy ending, which is happy enough. We'll still have bumps, but I like that because the series
Yeah.
finale doesn't feel like a series finale in some ways because the story could easily keep going, but we've, gone with it on its course and the characters will do what they'll do after that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you really do feel like, oh, I know what they're doing. It's not like it's not like we all sold the farm and now we're gonna open a hotel together or whatever. It's a natural ending, just like life. You keep on going. And so it was like we took this little peek and then we left. I mean, also we didn't know it was gonna be the last one when we filmed it, but yes, it was very much you know, uh true to form for that show.
What was the process of welcoming Tim into the ensemble like, since this really has had a pretty set cast of characters since the start?
Well, he's a natural at he's just like a very charming person, and so it wasn't like get out of here. We were like, oh, you're fun, come over here. And he actually is friends with Bridget previously, and with Carolyn Strauss, our one of our lead producers, and so um, it was very seamless for him to come in and be a part of it. And also, like we've all seen Tim Bagley on every show ever, so it wasn't like we were like, let's see your prove yourself, kid. It was like, oh hi, I'm sorry, my name is Jeff.
I like that when we first meet him, it seems like it could be sort of like a comedic subplot, and then it really just turns like, no, this is just romance and just like everything on this show, just perfectly sweet, which is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that this show is and this might be why it's not watched by that many people, but it's not formulaic. It's not like when I first read the pilot, I was like, "Oh, I get it. Every episode will end with us at choir practice and we'll have a song at the end of every I was like trying to do the math of this show, and it's not about math. It's about life, and life is not formulaic like that.
it's not exactly choir practice, but I do like that Joel makes it back to church because I remember you talking about how church for you also was a positive in your life when there were a lot of other things that weren't necessarily that way. And it's nice because it's not like it's that's never sort of front and center, but it's always something that's sort of because of Sam's affinity for music and the fact that that's how Joel and Brad met. That
Yeah.
that church is still important here, which is nice.
Yeah, and I think that that was a really nice arc too, that he went back to his church and got to see his pastor, and you realize like, oh, she probably didn't even care that he did choir practice. That was all just his guilt and his issue, and to have that reconciliation, I felt like really was nice closure for Joel, for at least his life that we see.
You think that this show has an audience of people for whom religion has been a positive, driving force of their life?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone who watches the show feels that way for sure, and I completely understand that. But I've had, because I grew up in the church and because I have friends who are pastors, many of them really value that this show is nuanced about religion and is and doesn't make religion the joke. That it's just this additional interesting thing about this character Joel, and it's not something wonky or funny or weird. It's just who he is, and truly in the Midwest and in Texas where I grew up, church is a huge place for community, and it's where you meet a lot of people. So it's also accurate, I think.
While we like to joke continuously about this show's small fan base, I am sure that there are still people that you have met throughout the years who are, invested in this show. And have you heard anything surprising? What do people tend to say to you when they recognize you?
Um, Well, it's kind of like the perfect level of fame where like 90% of people have no 95% of people have no idea who I am. And then like the 5% of people who do are usually just like, I love your show. And it's very easy. Sometimes people want to have a hug. That's great. I'll give you a hug.
Well, I'm sure there's a small number of us clamoring for more of this show. Do you feel like, even if you said it wasn't planned, do you feel like this is sort of the perfect ending? Or if there was a chance to do more with these characters, you would want to do that?
I would want to do that. Yeah. I don't know about everyone else, but I would, yes. I'm just an actor on the show. It's like I'm not I'm just I'm a greedy actor who'd be like 100 episodes. But yeah, I think that there's still lots more stories to tell, and I would be more than happy to continue to play Joel because I'm an actor who normally just comes in and says one line and leaves, and it's very fulfilling to play someone who has a full, rich interior life. It's a thrill, and I'm very sad that I don't get to do that anymore.
I know you've also said more than just one line on American Horror Story. Is
That's
that the
true.
kind of, as I imagine, a completely different beast? Couldn't be any different in a working environment from this show.
Oh, well, the working environment was maybe not so different. I mean, we there's not a lot of blood on somebody somewhere, but and I did carve up a corpse on American Horror Story, so I guess that's different. But the people that I worked with were all super smart and great. I mean, American Horror Story has a lot more money than somebody somewhere does, so that's different. That's really different. But I loved working on that. I mean, that was so exciting to get to play something new and different, and it was such a thrill to have Ryan Murphy. Like we had a Zoom where he like was like wooing me, and I was like, oh, I do this for free. I mean, don't tell him my agent I said that, but uh, yeah, it was so exciting to get to play something so different, but also on this sort of iconic franchise, and I loved it. And it was all like fancy actors and stuff. I felt very classy. I was on a show with Patty LuPone. Come on, that's impressive.
What would you like to do in the future?
Anything? But I don't know. I'd love to be in one of those like one of those limited series with a big fancy movie star in a crazy wig where a murder's happened. I'd love that.
Well, where do you think there are other shows out there like Somebody Somewhere? I still struggle to like find something that's a good comparison because I know that it's HBO airing partners like Succession were certainly not the right, ethical tonal fit for, if you like this is really going to be up your alley.
That's true. Sometimes people say Ted Lasso is a lot like it, but I think Ted Lasso is, much more, it's like good jokes, really good jokes. Whereas like sometimes we'll come up with like we'll improvise a good joke and they'll be like, oh, we can't use it. It's too perfect, because we're really going for reality. So I think in that sense, yeah, there's not a lot of similar. I mean, there are other shows that take place in small towns, but there's not a lot of shows that focus so much on truth, on not truth. Lots of shows focus on truth, but reality and real life. And maybe that's why nobody watched it because it was a bunch of middle-aged people in clothes from Kohl's. They can see that when they just open their front door.
Well, whether or not it's like Somebody Somewhere, what do you like to watch? What have you seen recently on TV that's sticking with you?
I just watched Sirens and I thought that was fun. Love that Julianne Moore. Um, uh, I tend to watch the big things, the White Lotus and the Last of Us, and I like all of those things. And yeah, that's not very interesting or exciting. I've also been watching a lot of shows on Max where you take houses that you make a house out of something that used to be a church or a store or a school. That's not a very exciting thing to talk about, Abe, and I apologize.
No, no, as we said, sometimes reality just isn't quite that riveting. And that's why Somebody Somewhere is such a great show, because it's just what's happening, and we can all just be into what we're into, and I totally respect that.
Exactly.
Well, I am very eager to hear what's next for you. I don't know if it'll be quite as singular and wholesome as Somebody Somewhere, because I'm not sure anything can be, but I'm excited for whatever lies ahead and always appreciate the chance to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have a lot of hope that it will be singular as well, but no, nothing firm planned.
Well, thanks so much, Jeff. Such a pleasure.
Thank you, Abe.